How many teams do you really think win games without their starting quarterbacks? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Hard Foul Radio. Appreciate you for tuning in today. This is the show that values time, so let's not waste any. So sometimes we like things even if we know they're bad. They're bad for us, they're overall just bad, not beneficial, wasting your time essentially, right? And let's stay away from the obvious hardcore subjects. There is things we all do. Social media, sports news. A lot of guys, too many hours on YouTube, unless you're watching Hard Foul, then, keep it up. There's things we do that just aren't beneficial. They're really not that good for us, but we still go back to them. Mine is sports media. I know a lot of the guys are full of shit, but I know it really doesn't even help progress my own opinions. But they are, to a degree, they are competition, and I'm just such a sports fanatic that if there's not a game on, I want to watch highlights of the game, replays of the game. I want to hear people talking about the game, hear different opinions. And so I did that yesterday. I wasted time listening to guys who are underqualified, overheard, and I don't want to be demeaning, but just flat out wrong and stupid at different points and times, especially with their critiques. And there's a certain people, we won't give names because I don't even want to give them that highlight of knowing they got under my skin yesterday. But there's these analysts who do nothing but love to critique. I'm going to critique every single thing except the only thing I can't critique, which is whoever wins either the Super Bowl, the NBA title, the World Series at the end of the year. That's the only thing I can't critique, but I'll critique them all the way up until they actually do it and then go, well, you know what, I guess I'm wrong. Like, there's ways to do this without just being critical. One of the things I heard yesterday, and I was shocked this was the story because I didn't think anyone, the way sports media showed me over the last couple of years, I'm one of like 5 people who cared about the Broncos anymore. But then the Broncos got off to a 3-0 start. And then Denver played the Ravens. And Denver lost to the Ravens. First loss of the season. It made sports news. Denver lost the game. Does this prove that their 3-0 record really wasn't all it's cracked up to be? All they did was beat winless teams. Do you see the way that people can just phrase the way they want something to sound? Denver got dragged through the mud. Not one person did I hear go, they did lose one of their starting corners. Von Miller got hurt during the game. Oh, by the way, they started the game with both their offensive guards out. By the way, they're down 2 receivers from the previous week. By the way, they lost another receiver during the game. Oh, and by the way, their starting quarterback got concussed. At what point do you just throw your hands up and go, I'm sorry, what do you want me to do? Normally, the world I grew up in, we generally don't judge teams when their quarterback gets hit and knocked out of the game. Very few teams have those kind of backups where they just step in and keep the ball rolling. There's only like a handful of those kind of guys. And Drew Lock's not one of those guys. But Denver got killed. If Lamar got hurt halfway through the game and Denver came back and won that game, would we be saying, oh, the Ravens aren't really that good because they can't win without Lamar Jackson? How many teams do you really think win games without their starting quarterbacks? Let's just be fair in what we're critiquing here. A lot went wrong for Denver to lose that game. And then for them to get dragged, like I said, no one phrased it this way. I didn't hear one single person go, well, you know what? Reality, quarterback, receivers, Von Miller, and not just that. Did you notice the Jets and Zach Wilson looked really good yesterday? Did you notice Daniel Jones and the Giants looked really good yesterday? Did you notice Trevor Lawrence and the Jags looked really good on Thursday? Who were Denver's 3 opponents? Those 3 teams. You know what none of them looked good against? Denver's defense. Like, can we just be fair here for a second? I'm not saying you got to crown Denver as a top 5 team. I'm not saying you got to say they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Not saying any of that. But Denver is still 3-1 through 4 games. And almost no analyst out there said, oh, Denver was going to win 3 of its first 4 games. It's a joke, man. Just a joke. So Denver's going to be fine. Denver will lose every single game they play where they lose their starting quarterback, multiple receivers, multiple offensive linemen, multiple defensive players. They lose those. Sorry, they're not good enough to do that. Moving on. So it is Tuesday, which means it's power rankings time. We got to do our top 5. There is only one change in terms of a new team in this top 5, but the order has been kind of mixed around a little bit. Number 5, the new team in our top 5 this week, the Arizona Cardinals. you just kind of got to give it up at some point. I still don't know if I fully believe this team is better than the Rams or the Seahawks, but they're 4-0. If the season ended today, Kyler Murray would be your NFL MVP. They do a lot of things wrong, actually, for a 4-0 team. But they're so explosive that the big plays they get overcome the little mistakes that they have. They get a 10-yard penalty, 20-yard bomb. They take a 5-yard sack, Kyler gets a 16-yard run. Like, they just have these plays that overcome the little mistakes that they have, which is why I wouldn't consider them a Super Bowl threat yet, because when it comes time for the playoffs, you just need to tighten those things up. So coaching and those little executions is definitely what I'd be most concerned about this team. But you got to give props where props are due. They went in, they beat the Rams, they're 4-0. Kyler would be your MVP right now. Arizona's my number 5 team. Number 4, Kansas City Chiefs. I had them here last week as well. I still think they're probably the favorite to come out of the AFC, or a co-favorite with Buffalo. The Eagles game looked exactly like how Kansas City will look a lot of weeks. Defense is shaky. Teams will be able to stay in the game longer than they should. But when Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, when it's all rolling, most explosive offense in the league, best offense in the league, Mahomes is Mahomes, Andy Reid, like, they still got guys. This defense is a huge issue, though. When they start to play the more elite teams, like coming up this week against Buffalo, and Buffalo's got an amazing defense. Amazing defense. Maybe the best defense in the league. So the Chiefs' great offense versus the Bills' great defense is going up against a Bills' good offense, potential to be great, versus a bad Kansas City defense. That's what you got to watch out for them. Number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs offense is still really crazy. I know it didn't look great Sunday night, but they're playing in the rain. The defense for the Bucs, I have a lot more confidence in getting better because they have coaching that is dedicated towards fixing that side of the ball versus some of the issues with Kansas City. Steve Spagnuolo, no offense to him, but we haven't heard of his raving defensive reviews since the 07 Giants. So I believe more in the Bucs being able to fix their subpar defense versus the Chiefs being able to fix theirs. And that's why Tampa Bay I've got above Kansas City at 3. Number 2, it's the LA Rams. I'm not going to blow the situation out of proportion. Yes, they lost to the Cardinals, but they were coming off their biggest win of the year. That's beating Tom Brady and the Bucs the prior week. This will still work. And this still does work, yes. Are they super top heavy? Absolutely. But even in that game when they lost, you see the things that you just can't out-coach or outdo, which is you can't block Aaron Donald. Jalen Ramsey gave DeAndre Hopkins hell. Matthew Stafford will hit some of these deep throws to Deshaun Jackson. Sean McVay is still a brilliant offensive mind. Yes, they get knocked down a spot because they lost, but this is still right there with the Bucs, best team, second best team in the NFC. Number 1, you got to go with Buffalo right now. I don't know how you don't go with Buffalo. They just won 40-0. This is taking dominating bad teams to a whole other level. The defense is amazing. Like I said earlier, it might be the best defense in the league. Josh Allen has had only really one great game to this point. And I think they're going to be really, and I said this yesterday, watch this game closely. They have a chance to bury their biggest competition in their eyes, the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a chance to bury them this week. If they can beat them, drop them to 2-3, and the other 3 teams in their division get to 4-1. So it's going to be a huge week. You're going to see Buffalo go all out. Josh Allen's never beaten Mahomes. You know that's going to be played a whole bunch. You're going to hear that all throughout the week. Watch Buffalo. They're not going to beat Kansas City 40-0, but watch them come out and play a hell of a game, even with it being in Arrowhead. And that is our Hard Foul Top 5.